today's video, I'm going to show you Aerpro's ICC replacement that suits BA/BF Falcons. This won't be a full installation video, but rather an overview of the device, its functions, and a few tips that I wish I knew when installing it. Right off the bat, what is this device? For anyone who doesn't know, with BA/BF Falcons, Ford moved away from the standardized double-din head unit slot of the AU, and instead opted for an all-in-one unit, the ICC or Interior Command Center. Whilst at the time of these release, they may have been more than fine for everyday use, but as these cars are nearly 2 decades old, it is fair to say that the current technology has far surpassed what was available. There are multiple variations of the ICC for the BA/BF. Some have a small grayscale screen, some have a large grayscale screen, and some of the more premium models even had a colour screen. But these devices have limited functionality with what you can do with them. On a side note, I do find the fact that they had a GPS model kind of impressive. For the longest time, there has been very little in the way of options available for replacing the ICC. A company called Kane offered a full replacement with essentially a built-in tablet that has been on the market for a while now, but it seems that the reviews of these units are a bit hit and miss. So, as of a couple of years ago, however, Aerpro have introduced an ICC replacement that allows you to install your own double-din head unit. So the experience and features you get are mainly going to depend on the specific head unit that you install. So this is what I opted for to install in my car, the Aerpro device with a Sony head unit that I already owned. Let's take a look at the device and features available. Via the unit, we retain all of the factory functionality that was present in the original ICC. That is, the interior light control, traction control, all of the various AC controls, the trip computer, which gives you average speed, average fuel usage, time, how much fuel you are currently burning, and how much range you currently have left in your tank. Although, I do have to say, the way this screen looks really isn't that nice. I also forgot to mention this does have a door lock button. The kit is able to display these screens by essentially hijacking the AV input into the head unit. Within the box of the device is a cable that essentially piggybacks the AV input. This means that the ICC can display menu items, the climate control, but also still allow you to utilize a reverse camera if you have one. On the front of the unit, you also have access to 2 USB pass-through ports. Assuming that your head unit has the available ports on it, you can use these for charging or hooking up your phone to CarPlay or Android Auto. From here, the features that you get really come down to the head unit that you use. As noted previously, I'm using a Sony head unit and I'm able to use Android Auto, which is honestly a game changer for a car of this age. Being able to utilize maps, play music, take phone calls, and receive notifications from my phone in this car is incredibly useful. I'm not sure if this is also present on all head units with this kit, but I was also able to map steering wheel controls to this unit. So with that brief overview of the head unit out of the way, what are some of the things I wish I knew prior to installing this unit? Well, the first thing is I was unable to retain the factory clock. Maybe someone knows more than I do in the comments, but I have a Fairmont gear which comes with a factory clock on the top of the ICC. This device plugs directly into the standard ICC through a connector. Unfortunately, this unit does not have that connector like the original ICC. This means I've had to ditch my clock and go with a standard top hat. The next issue I had was retaining the reverse sensors. If you have a Falcon that has factory reverse sensors, it's a bit more of an involved process to retain them. I didn't do enough reading before buying the product and ultimately found out that to make it work, I need to purchase 2 more additional devices. This is a specific little speaker box as well as a wiring kit. For me, finding the wiring kit was a bit of a mission. No auto stores near me had it in stock and I ultimately had to drive a fair way to find it. When it comes to that speaker box, for anyone who may be interested, I mounted it up under the dash using some zip ties. Since the audio no longer passes through the factory speakers, the chimes that you get aren't really that high quality, which is a bit disappointing. But to me, this is a worthwhile trade-off for the extra features that I get with the head unit. Once I had this all installed, I still continued to have issues and was unable to get the sensors to work. After digging through a number of forums, I found that the unit has a hidden menu. If you go to the menu and then hold the AC up and AC down at the same time, you are taken to the installer menu. For me, to get the sensors working correctly, I had to enable the reverse camera. even though I don't have a camera plugged in. I'm not sure if this is something you have to do with other head units, but it's something I had to do with my Sony device. Overall, fitting the head unit to the car isn't too hard of a process, and I'm not a mechanic by any stretch of the imagination. Using a combination of both Aerpro's instructions and some YouTube videos, I was able to get this all in and working. As noted, I'm not going to go over the installation as there is plenty of content already available. Just be sure that before you start, you make sure you have all the required wiring, as you'll need an adapter loom specific to your head unit, and, as noted, if you want to retain the reverse sensors, those additional components will also be required. So far I've only had this device in my car for around a week, so it is hard to give it any detailed level of feedback, but so far I don't really have any major complaints. It all works as expected, and finally being able to use maps and music in my car is extremely helpful. Before I wrap up this video, I do want to touch on the price of this setup, as sadly it isn't that cheap. The ICC unit is generally for sale around $630. The reverse cabling and speaker cost me a total of $80, and my specific adapter loom was $30. This brings the total to $740. And this doesn't even take into account the cost of the head unit, which for something decent probably will cost around $400, meaning for this full setup you're looking at over $1,000. As I already owned a head unit and managed to get the ICC on sale for just over $400, the cost was a bit more palatable, but at full retail it is certainly a bit of an ask. Anyways, that concludes today's videos. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or feedback, please let me know in the comments down below and I'll do my best to get back to you.